We are back, everybody, over at the NBBL Pokemon Draft League for their next season. For all those who don't know what a Pokemon Draft League is, Draft is a format of competitive Pokemon where players, known as coaches, draft teams of Pokemon and then face off against one another over the course of 8 weeks. And then at the end, the best of the best face off in playoffs to see who becomes the champion. But enough of all that lame stuff. I know you guys want to know what my first round pick was, and of course, I need to get another busted Uber like I did last time. But instead of Necrozma Dawnwing, I got Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black is an incredibly strong Pokemon, 170 base attack stat, and while it's not exactly the fastest thing in the world, Scale Shot allows it to be able to boost up pretty easily. However, sadly, this mon is fairly broken, and even Nova knows that, so he has some complex bans on it. I am not allowed to use any Dragon Dance, and I'm never able to hold the item Boda Dice on this mon. So, that's unfortunate, but hey, we love gambling, don't we, boys? However, next up, I needed a mon that paired really well with Kyurem Black, and who else than Slowking? Being able to set the snow with Chilly Reception, it is a perfect partner for Kyurem Black, being able to switch in on most things that want to hit Kyurem Black really hard, and then be able to get out a slow momentum move with Chilly Reception back into Kyurem Black. And then on top of all that is just a generally strong, bulky water type that can spread status, as well as heal itself with its Regenerator ability or Slack Off. Kind of a catch-all, bulky mon that helps support Kyurem Black. However, I do need another offensive piece, and I would really like a special attacker to complement Kyurem Black's physical prowess. So of course, Iron Moth joins the team next. It does pair very well with Kyurem Black, being able to absolutely destroy any fairy or steel types wanting to switch in on Kyurem Black. And then on top of all that, I even keep up the momentum with U-Turn, or I can run Booster Energy or Choice sets pretty easily. Hell, even if I want to, I could run a heavy-duty boot set with Toxic Spikes. On top of Iron Moth's great offensive coverage, I do think it will pair wonderfully with Kyurem Black. And now next up, I really wanted to get some strong Tera captains here. As the way that this draft was, you could have one tier 3 mon, one tier 4, and one tier 5 Tera captain. And they did include some pretty strong mons in these tiers, including Tera Regieleki. But sadly, that mon went before I could pick it up. However, I do think Crocodile was an amazing Tera captain. Being able to Tera Ground, Fairy, and Poison, this thing is going to be an incredible Choice Scarf sweeper. On top of that, it also gets wonderful support moves such as Knock Off, as well as things like Taunt and Stealth Rock. And among all of that, it even is an Intimidate pivot, so it does help make the rest of the team bulkier on top of that. Crocodile is an insane Tera captain, and I'm really looking forward to playing with it this season. However, I do get a second tier 3 mon, and while it's not a Tera captain, I think Gardevoir will be an excellent mon for the team. I will say I put off picking this mon till the late game just because I really wanted a Fairy type, and I wanted to see what I could get for the rest of the team besides Gardevoir. However, nothing really worked out all that great because I was at the end of the draft. But at the end of the day, Gardevoir is an incredibly strong special attacker, being able to throw off massively powerful Moonblast and Psychic moves, and it even has a fairly solid coverage move pool as well. I might decide later in the season to swap Gardevoir to my Tera captain, however for now it's just going to be rocking with just its normal stabs. And after Gardevoir, I was really curious about what I could get as a tier 4 Tera captain, because there were still some really strong options. However, once this mon made it to me, I knew I absolutely had to pick up Tera Heracross. Being able to Tera Fighting, Normal, and Steel, I think this mon could be very, very solid here. Tera Fighting being able to boost up my fighting stab moves, Tera Normal to throw off stab Tera Normal facades, and then Steel as just a general very good defensive typing, especially on the weeks that I might want to bring a more bulky Heracross, since this mon still gets spikes. And speaking of spikes, I needed yet another mon to be able to set up some hazards, as well as just have a little bit more bulk. And all that to the fact that I couldn't get a grass type for the life of me, I wanted to get Chestnut up here next. Chestnut is not an amazing mon, don't get me wrong, however I do think it is fairly solid in what it does, and that's being able to spread chip damage like crazy with Leech Seed, Spikes, as well as Spiky Shield. I think Chestnut has a chance to be pretty solid solid this season, even if it may only come once or twice. And that same kind of sentiment goes for my next mon, Chandelure. I do think Chandelure does have a bit more of a use case than Chestnut does, though at the same time it does overlap pretty heavily with Iron Moth. Though I do think Chandelure definitely has its use cases, mainly as a spin blocker, funnily enough, as I do think Chandelure as a spin blocker could come in against any kind of rapid spinner and be able to just threaten it out naturally with its insanely high special attack stat. Add that to the fact that it's also got the Flame Body ability, and I do think Chandelure has a huge threat of bullying over some teams. And now finally for the Tier 5 Tera Captain. I was really surprised to see that this mon was a Tier 5, though he did say he wanted to keep some diamonds in the rough, and you can't get more diamond in the rough than Tera Kilowattrel. I threw on Tera Flying, Tera Ice, and Tera Water. The main reasons for all that is because Tera Flying gives me a much more reliable stab than Hurricane, on top of getting me the double stab for flying type attacks. I do think it is very strong, and on top of all that, it even gets Weather Ball, so I could throw off incredibly strong Tera Ice Weather Balls, complemented by Slowking's Chili Reception. And then Water is just a generally really good Tera type on Kilowattrel, mainly just because of the fact that Grass types don't want to switch in on me, and Electric types can't threaten me because of my Volt Absorb ability. However, now you're kind of seeing that I don't really have any kind of removal right now, and I also don't have a normal type, so that's why I wanted to pick up Cyclizar, Komala, Mousehole, Chinchino! Chinchino is a pretty mid-mon, I'm not gonna lie, though I will say its speed tier is pretty solid on this team. Add that to the fact that Tidy Up acts as basically a Dragon Dance that gets rid of hazards, and it does have some pretty great coverage moves, I can't lie, with Tail Slap, Triple Axle, Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, alongside it being able to be ran with a Skill Link ability or Technician. I do think Chinchino, while it's not the best on the team, I do think it definitely will have its role on a few matchups. And for my final mon of the draft, I really needed a Steel type, and there was nothing left. Genuinely, the board was completely picked clean of all Steel types. I mean, hey, that's what we get at the end of the day for having a nearly 40-person draft. Actually, closer to 36, so we're not going to talk about that. But we got Berserker as our final mon. Berserker is not very good, I'm gonna be completely honest, though it does threaten some pretty big damage with Tough Claws. Add that to the fact that it can also be a solid Assault Vest user, while also getting slow U-turn and Fake Outs boosted by Tough Claws. I do think Berserker has a solid role on some matchups, especially since it also is a rocker. Berserker is pretty bad, but at the end of the day, it was the best I could do. And that's the team for this season over at the NBBL Pokemon Draft League. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to not miss any of this season. I'm on my way to 250 subscribers, and I know we can get there by the end of the year with your help. And with that, everybody, I will see you guys in the season.